The docking bay was silent. Commander stood with his arms behind his back. His gray fur was clean and brushed. His uniform was perfect. He looked like a soldier should look, but inside his heart was beating too fast. The ship was coming. He could see it through the large window. It was small, too small. When the invasion fleet left for Earth 6 months ago, there were 500 warships. Each ship carried 20,000 soldiers. The Empire had sent 10 million of its finest warriors to take the small blue planet called Earth. Now one tiny transport ship was returning, just one. Watch the ship move closer. It looked damaged. Burn marks covered its hull. One of its engines was not working. It moved slowly, like a wounded animal crawling home to die. Around, other officers stood waiting. No one spoke. No one moved. They all knew something terrible had happened. They just did not know what. The ship entered the docking bay. Its landing was rough. Metal scraped against metal. The sound was loud and ugly. When the ship finally stopped, smoke came from its broken parts. For a long moment, nothing happened. The door did not open. No one came out. Stepped forward, his boots made sharp sounds on the metal floor. He walked to the ship and stood before its door. He could hear something inside, breathing, slow, heavy breathing. The door opened with a hiss. A single soldier stumbled out. He fell to his knees immediately. His fur was dirty and matted. His uniform was torn. He had no weapon. His eyes were open, but they looked at nothing. They were empty, dead. Recognized him, Private, a young soldier. He had been part of the first wave. He was supposed to be brave. He was supposed to be strong. Now he looked like a ghost. Knelt down beside him. He put a hand on his shoulder. The young soldier was shaking. His whole body trembled like a leaf in wind. Private said softly, "What happened? Where are the others?" Did not answer. He did not even look at. He just stared at the floor. His mouth moved slightly, but no words came out. Tried again. Private, report. What happened on Earth? Where is the fleet? Still nothing. His eyes remained fixed on some point far away, some point that only he could see. Medical officers rushed forward. They wrapped blankets around. They checked his body for wounds. They found nothing. No cuts, no burns, no broken bones. Physically, he was fine. But his mind was somewhere else, somewhere dark. They took to the medical center, followed. He watched as doctors examined the young soldier. They ran tests. They scanned his brain. They looked at everything. His body is healthy, the chief medical officer said, but he is in shock, deep shock. I have never seen anything like this. Can you wake him up? Asked. Can you make him talk? The doctor shook his head. We can try, but whatever he saw on Earth, it broke something inside him. His mind has shut down to protect itself. Looked at lying on the medical bed. The young soldier's eyes were still open, still staring at nothing. What could do this to a warrior? They were the greatest fighters in the galaxy. They had conquered 100 worlds. They feared nothing. But was afraid, could see it. Even in his silence, even in his stillness, the fear was there. It radiated from him like heat from a fire. Hours passed, word spread through the station. Rumors flew everywhere. Some said Earth had destroyed the entire fleet with secret weapons. Some said the humans had made a deal with demons. Some said the planet itself was cursed. Did not believe in curses, he believed in facts, and right now he had only one fact. 10 million soldiers went to Earth, one came back. Late in the night, sat alone with, the medical center was quiet. The lights were dim, had not moved, he had not spoken, he had not eaten. Leaned close to him. Private, he whispered. I am not your commander right now. I am not here to judge you. I just want to understand. Please tell me what happened. For the first time moved, his head turned slowly. His empty eyes found space. For a moment something flickered in them, something like life, something like memory. His lips moved, a sound came out. It was weak, barely a whisper. Ho, leaned closer. What did you say? Ho said the word again, then his eyes went empty once more. He turned away. He went back to his silence. Sat back, his heart was cold. He did not know what that word meant. He did not know if it was a name, a place, or something else entirely. But he knew one thing: he needed to find out. The next morning sent a report to High Command. He told them everything. The single ship, the empty eyes, the strange word. He requested permission to investigate. The response came quickly. High General himself was coming to the station. He wanted to see the survivor. He wanted answers. Understood, the Empire needed to know what happened. If Earth had some weapon that could destroy 10 million soldiers, they needed to prepare. If the humans had found some way to defeat warriors, the Empire needed to learn it. But deep inside felt something else, a small voice that whispered a warning. Maybe some questions should not be asked, maybe some answers were too dangerous to know. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, a small planet, a young species. They were supposed to be weak, they were supposed to be easy to conquer. But they had broken, they had destroyed 10 million soldiers, and they had done it so completely that only one survivor returned. And that survivor refused to speak. Closed his eyes. For the first time in his long career, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear, real fear. Not fear of weapons, not fear of death, something deeper, something worse. Fear of the unknown. And Earth, he realized, was very unknown indeed. High General arrived 3 days later. His ship was massive, black and silver. It blocked out the stars when it docked at the station. Was old, his fur was white with age. His body was covered in scars from 100 battles. He walked with a cane, but his eyes were sharp. They missed nothing. Met him at the docking bay. He bowed low. High General, welcome. Did not waste time with greetings. Where is the survivor? In the medical center. He still has not spoken. Grunted, he will speak. I did not come all this way to look at a silent soldier. They walked through the station. Officers and soldiers stepped aside quickly. Everyone knew his reputation. He was hard, he was cruel, he got results. The medical center doors opened, was still on his bed. He had not moved in 3 days. Nurses had to feed him through tubes. His eyes were still empty. Stood over him, he studied the young soldier like a scientist studies a specimen. This is the only one out of 10 million. Yes, High General. And he has said nothing. He said one word, ho, we do not know what it means. Frowned, play the ship's recordings. Every ship has automatic recordings. Shook his head, we tried, the recordings are corrupted, something destroyed them, we only have fragments. Show me. They went to a viewing room. Technicians brought up what remained of the ship's data. Most of it was static and noise, but there were pieces, small moments captured before the systems failed. The first fragment showed soldiers in a transport. They were laughing, making jokes. They thought the invasion would be easy. Earth was a primitive world. The humans had no space fleet, no energy weapons, just simple machines and simple buildings. The second fragment was different. The same soldiers were running, screaming, but not from weapons fire, not from explosions. They were running from something else, something that could not be seen. What are they running from? Demanded. No one could answer. The third fragment was the worst. A soldier sat in a corner. He was crying. Tears ran down his fur. He kept saying the same thing over and over. They do not hate us, they do not hate us, they do not hate us. Then the recording ended. Was silent for a long time. His old hands gripped his cane tightly. What kind of weapon makes soldiers cry? Had no answer, neither did anyone else. They returned to the medical center, sent everyone away. He wanted to be alone with just the two of them. Waited outside. An hour passed, then 2. He heard no sounds from inside, no shouting, no struggling. Finally the door opened, walked out. His face was strange. Had never seen such an expression on the High General before. It almost looked like confusion. He spoke, said. Stepped forward eagerly. What did he say? Paused. He seemed to be searching for words. I asked him about the invasion. I asked what happened to our soldiers. I asked about weapons and defenses. And he said there were no weapons. The humans had weapons, but they did not use them. Frowned. They did not fight back. They fought back, but not the way we expected. His voice was slow, heavy. He said they used something else, something he called kindness. The word hung in the air, kindness. It sounded strange in his mouth. It was not a word used often. I do not understand, said. Neither do I. Started walking. But I will. I am ordering a full investigation. We will find out what happened on Earth, every detail. Over the next few weeks, investigators arrived at the station. They were the best minds in the Empire. Scientists, strategists, psychologists. They all focused on one task, making talk. They tried everything, drugs that loosened the tongue, machines that read brain patterns, even old methods of persuasion that involved pain. Nothing worked well, stayed mostly silent, but sometimes when they pushed hard enough, fragments would come out, small pieces of a story that made no sense. He talked about landing on Earth. He talked about marching through green fields. He talked about a small village, simple buildings, simple people. We were supposed to burn it, whispered one day. The village, we were supposed to kill everyone. Those were our orders. The investigators lined forward. What happened? His hands started shaking. A man came out. He was old. His hair was gray. He walked slowly toward us. He had no weapon. He just walked toward us. Did you shoot him? Yes, Sergeant Malik shot him, hit him in the leg. The old man fell. His voice became very quiet, but he got back up. He got back up and kept walking toward us, toward the guns. Why? He was carrying something, a bowl. It had food in it, hot food. He was bringing us food. His empty eyes filled with tears. He was shot and bleeding, and he was bringing us food. The room was silent. No one knew what to say. His name was Ho, continued. He was a farmer. He grew rice. His wife was dead. His children were gone. He was alone. And when 10,000 soldiers came to destroy his village, he made food for them. One of the investigators spoke up. That is strange, but how did it destroy the army? Food cannot kill soldiers. Looked at him for a moment. His eyes were sharp, clear. You do not understand. None of you understand. The food did not kill us. The kindness did. We came to hate them. We came to destroy them, and they loved us anyway. His voice broke. How do you fight someone who loves you? How do you kill someone who feeds you? We were trained for war. We were ready for death, but we were not ready for that. We were not ready for humans. He fell silent again. The investigators tried to ask more questions, but was done. He retreated back into himself, back into that dark place where memories could not reach him. Received the report that night. He read it 3 times. Each time his face grew darker. This cannot be true, he muttered. An army cannot be defeated by kindness. It is impossible. But deep inside he was not sure. He remembered the fragment of recording, the soldier crying, saying they do not hate us. What if it was true? What if Earth's greatest weapon was not death but love? The thought terrified him because the Empire knew how to fight weapons. They knew how to fight death, but they had no defense against love. They had no training for kindness. For the first time in his long life, wondered if the Empire had made a terrible mistake. Earth was supposed to be weak. Earth was supposed to be conquered easily. But maybe Earth was the most dangerous world in the galaxy. And maybe, just maybe, they had been lucky that only one soldier came back. Intelligence officer was not afraid of anything. She had worked in the shadows for 30 years. She had spied on enemy empires. She had stolen secrets from fortified bases. She had faced death many times and always walked away. But when High General gave her the assignment, something cold moved through her chest. Go to the edge of space, said. Find any transmissions from the invasion fleet. Piece together what happened on Earth. Accepted the mission. She did not show her unease, but it was there. It followed her onto her ship. It sat beside her as she flew toward the darkness between stars. The journey took 2 weeks. Her ship was small and fast. It slipped through space like a knife through water. She did not stop. She did not rest. She needed answers. At the edge of territory, she found the relay stations. These were old machines floating in space. They captured signals and stored them. Most were filled with routine military chatter, supply requests, position reports, normal things. But the signals from 6 months ago were different. Found the first transmission from day 1 of the invasion. It was full of confidence, commanders laughing, soldiers boasting. They talked about Earth like it was already conquered, just a small job, a quick victory. Day 3 was different. The voices were confused. The humans are not fighting, one commander reported. They have weapons, but they do not use them. They just watch us. Day 5 was stranger. We burned a city today, a human city. The buildings fell. The streets were full of smoke, but the humans came out of hiding and started helping us. They pulled our wounded from the rubble. They gave water to our soldiers. What is wrong with these creatures? Day 7 made pause her listening. A young officer's voice came through the static. He sounded scared. I killed a child today, a human child. He ran toward our lines. I thought he had a weapon, but he had flowers. He was bringing us flowers, and I killed him. The officer's voice cracked. His mother came out. She held his body. She looked at me, and she forgave me. She said she forgave me. How can she forgive me? I killed her son. Sat in her cold ship and listened to a soldier's world fall apart. The transmissions continued, day after day. The invasion was succeeding. Cities fell. Lands were taken. The flag flew over human capitals. But something was wrong with the soldiers. Day 12, Sergeant will not eat. He says the food tastes like ash. He says he sees the human faces when he closes his eyes. Day 15, half my unit has stopped fighting. They sit and stare. Some cry. They will not say why. Day 20, a human woman took care of me. I was injured, lost, bleeding. She found me in a field. She could have killed me. She could have left me to die. Instead, she cleaned my wounds. She fed me. She sang songs while I healed. Why? Why would she do that? Day 25, Commander has ordered a mass execution. 3,000 human prisoners, but when the soldiers lined up to shoot, half of them refused. They dropped their weapons. They walked away. Some walked toward the humans. Some knelt down beside them. Stop the recording. Her hands were shaking. She had seen many terrible things in her career, but this was different. This was not war. This was something else, something that had no name. She continued searching. More transmissions, more voices, more confusion. Then she found the recording she was looking for. It was labeled Final Transmission, Day 30. A commander's voice came through. His name was Lord. He was one of the highest-ranking officers in the invasion force, a legend among warriors. This is Lord. I am sending this message to anyone who receives it. The invasion has failed, not because we lost battles. We won every battle, not because our soldiers died. Most are still alive. It failed because we have lost something worse than lives. We have lost ourselves. His voice grew heavy with emotion we're not supposed to show. The humans have defeated us with weapons we cannot understand. They defeated us with food and medicine, with shelter and song, with forgiveness and love. Our soldiers cannot fight anymore. Not because they are weak, because they have discovered something. They have discovered that the humans see them as people, as beings worth saving, as creatures worth loving. Static crackled through the recording. I have made a decision. I am ordering all ships destroyed, all records erased. Only one soldier will return home. Private, he volunteered. He will carry the truth back to the Empire. The truth that Earth cannot be conquered, not with weapons, not with armies, not with all the power in the galaxy. Lord's voice became very quiet. I am staying here on Earth. Many of us are staying. The humans have welcomed us. They have forgiven us for the destruction. They have offered us homes. They have offered us new lives. I know this sounds like madness. I know the Empire will call me a traitor, but I have seen something here, something I never saw in all my years of conquest. I have seen peace, real peace. The recording ended with a single sentence. If any hears this message, do not come to Earth, not to conquer, not to investigate, do not come at all. Because if you do, you will never leave. The humans will not trap you. They will not imprison you. They will simply love you, and that love will change you forever. Sat in silence for a long time. Outside her ship, stars burned in the endless darkness, cold and distant and eternal. She thought about Lord, the greatest warrior of his generation, the conqueror of 20 worlds. He had surrendered to farmers and children. He had laid down his weapons for food and song. It seemed impossible. It seemed like a lie. But the recordings were real, the voices were real. The fear and confusion and wonder in those voices were real. Made copies of everything, she encrypted them. She stored them in secure files. Then she turned her ship around and flew back towards space. She had found the truth, but she was not sure anyone would believe it. And she was not sure anyone should. Because if the truth got out, if the people learned that 10 million soldiers had fallen to kindness, everything would change. The Empire was built on strength, on conquest, on the belief that power came from fear. What would happen if they learned that power could come from love? Did not know, and that uncertainty frightened her more than any weapon ever could. Returned to the station with her recordings. She went straight to High General. She told him everything. She played the transmissions. She showed him Lord's final message. When it was over, sat in silence. His old face was pale. His hands gripped his cane so tightly that his knuckles turned white. This cannot be true, he finally said. Soldiers do not surrender to kindness. Warriors do not fall to love. The recordings are authentic, replied. I checked them many times. No one altered them. No one created false voices. This is what happened. Stood up, he walked to the window. Outside, ships moved through the docking bay. Soldiers marched in formation. The Empire continued its work, strong, powerful, undefeated. But knew the truth now. The Empire had been defeated, not by weapons or armies, by farmers who offered food, by mothers who forgave their children's killers, by an old man named Ho who walked through gunfire to bring a bowl of rice. We cannot let this information spread, said quietly. If our people learn what happened, it will destroy everything. Our soldiers will question their training. Our citizens will question our conquests. The whole empire will shake. Nodded, I understand. What do you want me to do? Destroy the recordings, all of them, every copy. And what about? Was silent for a moment, then he turned around. His eyes were hard. He stays here under guard, he speaks to no one, eventually he will be forgotten. It was a cold decision, a practical decision, the kind of decision that empires were built on. But felt something uncomfortable in her chest. She had listened to those recordings. She had heard the voices of soldiers discovering something new, something beautiful, and now she was being ordered to erase all evidence of it. Is there another option? She asked. Looked at her sharply. What do you mean? The humans did not destroy our army with cruelty. They did it with compassion. What if there is something valuable in that, something we could learn from? His expression darkened. You sound like Lord now. Are you also planning to surrender to the humans? No, I am just asking questions. Questions are dangerous, walked toward her. His old body still carried the power of a lifetime of command. The empire survives because it is certain our people believe in strength, in power, in conquest. If we start questioning those beliefs, we become weak. Lowered her head. Yes, High General. Destroy the recordings tonight. She left his office. She returned to her ship. She sat alone in the darkness and looked at the files she had collected. Hours of transmissions, hundreds of voices, the story of an invasion that turned into something else. Her finger moved toward the delete command. She paused. In her mind, she heard Lord's voice. Do not come to Earth, because if you do, you will never leave. They will simply love you, and that love will change you forever. Changed? What did it mean to be changed? To become something different, something better. Had spent her whole life serving the Empire, following orders, doing what was necessary. She had never questioned her purpose. She had never wondered if there was another way. But tonight, in this cold ship, with the weight of truth in her hands, she wondered. What if the humans were right? What if kindness was stronger than cruelty? What if love was the most powerful weapon in the galaxy? She made a decision. She did not delete all the recordings. She kept one copy, hidden, encrypted, safe. She did not know why. She just knew that some truths were too important to destroy. The next morning she reported to, "It is done. All recordings deleted." He nodded. Good, now we need to deal with. They went to the medical center together, was still on his bed. He had been there for weeks now. His body was thin, his fur was dull, but his eyes had changed. They were no longer empty. They held something new, something soft. Stood over him. Private, I am going to ask you some questions. You will answer them truthfully. Do you understand? Looked up at him. Yes. What happened on Earth? The humans loved us. That is not an answer. It is the only answer. His voice was calm, peaceful. We came to destroy them. We burned their cities. We killed their people, and they loved us anyway. They fed us when we were hungry. They healed us when we were hurt. They forgave us when we killed. His jaw tightened. Why did you come back? Why did you leave? Lord asked for a volunteer, someone to bring the truth home. I volunteered because I thought the Empire should know. I thought if our people understood, they would change. Change how? Sat up slowly. It was the most movement he had made in weeks. Change the way they see the universe, change what they believe in, change their hearts. Hearts do not win wars. No, but they win peace. Look directly at. The Empire has conquered 100 worlds, but it has never found peace. There's always another enemy, always another war, always more death. The humans showed us another way, a way without conquest, without hate. Struck him, his cane swung hard and fast. It hit across the face. The young soldier fell back onto his bed. Foolish words, growled. The weak talk about peace. The strong take what they want. Touched his bleeding face. He looked at the blood on his fingers. Then he looked at. And he smiled. It was a strange smile, a sad smile, but also a peaceful smile. The smile of someone who had seen something beyond pain and anger. You are afraid, said softly. You are afraid because you know I am right. You know the humans found something we lost long ago, something we forgot how to feel. Raised his cane again, but he did not strike. He stood there, frozen, looking down at the broken soldier who smiled at him with bloody lips. What did they find? Whispered. What did the humans find? Smile grew wider. Hope. They found hope, and they shared it with us, freely, without asking for anything in return. Lowered his cane. His old hands were trembling, not with anger, with something else. Fear, but also curiosity. Leave us, he said too. I need to speak with him alone. Bowed and left. She waited outside the door. Hours passed. She heard voices inside, quiet voices, sometimes arguing, sometimes just talking. When finally came out, he looked different, older, tired, but also softer somehow. High General asked. Did not look at her, he stared at the wall. The humans are not our enemy, he said quietly. They never were. We are our own enemy. We always have been. He walked away, slowly, like a man carrying a very heavy weight. Watched him go. She did not know what had happened in that room. She did not know what had said. But she knew something had changed. Something important. Something that might change everything. 1 month passed, then two. The station returned to normal operations. Ships came and went. Soldiers trained. The Empire continued its work across the stars. But things were different now. Small changes, quiet changes. High General stopped planning new invasions. He spent more time alone, reading, thinking. Sometimes he visited in the medical center. They talked for hours. No one knew what they discussed. Kept her hidden, recording. She listened to it sometimes, late at night when the station was quiet. Lord's voice reminded her that another way existed, a different path. The High Council grew concerned, had always been their most aggressive general. He had pushed for expansion, for conquest, for war. Now he counseled patience, diplomacy, understanding. They called a secret meeting. All the highest leaders of the Empire gathered in a dark room far from curious ears. Something is wrong with, the council speaker said. He has changed since the Earth investigation. Perhaps he is getting old, another counselor suggested. His mind is failing. No, his mind is sharper than ever. That is what worries me. The speaker leaned forward. He asked me yesterday if we had ever tried to make peace with our enemies. Peace. Can you imagine a general asking about peace? The counselors muttered among themselves. This was troubling news. The Empire needed strong leaders, fierce leaders, not philosophers who wondered about peace. What do we do? Someone asked. The speaker was quiet for a moment. We do nothing for now. We watch, we wait. If becomes a problem, we will deal with him. But they never got the chance. 3 days later called his own meeting. He gathered all the officers at the station. Hundreds of stood in the great hall, waiting to hear their general speak. Walked to the front of the room. He moved slowly. He looked tired, but his eyes were clear, determined. I have something to tell you, he began. Something about Earth, something about what really happened there. The room went silent. Everyone had heard rumors, but no official explanation had ever been given. We sent 10 million soldiers to conquer that planet, the greatest army in our history, and we failed, not because the humans had better weapons, not because they fought harder than us. We failed because they did something we never expected. He paused, his old voice echoed in the great hall. They refused to hate us, they refused to see us as enemies. Even as we destroyed their cities and killed their people, they saw us as lost children, as beings who needed help, not punishment. And that compassion broke our soldiers in ways no weapon ever could. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Officers looked at each other. What was saying? I have spent 2 months thinking about this, talking to private, reading the reports, and I have come to a conclusion. His voice grew stronger. The humans are not weak because they show kindness. They are strong because of it. They have discovered something we forgot long ago, something precious. What is it? An officer called out. They discovered that the greatest power is not the ability to destroy. It is the ability to love, to forgive, to heal. His eyes swept across the room. We have built an empire on fear and conquest. We have taken 100 worlds, but we have never been happy. We have never been at peace. We just keep fighting, forever, endlessly. He took a deep breath. I am recommending to the High Council that Earth be removed from all invasion records. No one will go there. No one will try to conquer it again. The planet will be left alone, protected. Shock rippled through the crowd. Protect a planet they tried to conquer. It went against everything the Empire believed in. But that is not all, continued. I am also recommending changes to our training, our strategies, our entire way of thinking. We need to learn from the humans, not their technology, not their weapons, their hearts, their capacity for compassion. The room exploded with noise. Officers shouted questions. Some called a traitor, others demanded explanations. The chaos grew until raised his hand. I know this sounds strange. I know many of you think I have lost my mind, but I have not. For the first time in my life, I think clearly. He pointed toward the medical center. There is a soldier there, private. He has seen the truth. He has felt what the humans can do, and he is more at peace than any warrior I have ever known. He lowered his hand. We can reject this lesson. We can continue as we always have, conquering, destroying, filling the galaxy with fear and blood, or we can try something different. We can try to understand, to connect, to build instead of break. Stepped back from the podium. The choice is yours, all of yours. I am an old man. I will not live much longer, but you will. Your children will. And someday they will ask what kind of galaxy you built for them. I hope you give them a better answer than the one my generation gave. He walked out of the hall, slowly, alone. The officers stood in stunned silence. No one knew what to say. The world had shifted under their feet. In the medical center felt a change. He had been waiting for this moment, hopping for it, praying for it in his own quiet way. The door opened, walked in. He sat beside's bed. I told them, said everything. What will happen now? I do not know. Some will listen, some will resist. Change is slow, painful, but it has begun. Nodded, that is enough. That is all Ho wanted. Looked at him, the farmer, he wanted this. He told me something before I left Earth. He said that change starts with one person, one moment of kindness, one act of courage. He said that was how his people had survived, not by being the strongest, by being the most stubborn, the most hopeful. Smiled, that same peaceful smile he had worn since his return. He said humans are not special because they can fight. They are special because they can forgive, because they can look at an enemy and see a friend waiting to be found. Was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. I wish I had met him, this Ho. Maybe you will someday when things are different. Nodded slowly, maybe. Outside the station, stars burned in the endless void. Billions of worlds, trillions of lives, all spinning through space, looking for meaning, looking for connection. And somewhere on a small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy, an old farmer worked in his rice field. He did not know that his kindness had changed an empire. He did not know that his bowl of food had stopped a war. He just knew that the sun was warm, the soil was good, and there was always room at his table for anyone who was hungry. Even if they came with guns and anger. Even if they came to destroy. Because that was what humans did. They loved anyway. And that love changed everything.